On this episode of the Oklahoma Breakdown with Ikard and Lehman, presented by River Wind Casino, we catch up on the latest OU football news. Then the first PBR Teams event of the season is in Oklahoma City this week. So we talk to the head coach of the Oklahoma Wildcatts, JB Mauney, and then we finish with our winners and losers of the weekend. Please download and subscribe to the podcast, rate it 5 stars, and write us a good review. Follow the show on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Just search Oklahoma Breakdown on any of those, and you'll find us. All right, our man Michael Hosty will kick this thing off. It's time for the Oklahoma Breakdown. It's a beautiful Sunday, July 7th, and you're listening to the Oklahoma Breakdown with Ikard and Lehman, presented by River Wind Casino. Riverwind is Oklahoma City's premier casino experience, and there are so many reasons why Riverwind is consistently voted OKC's #1 casino, but it all starts with their amazing variety of gaming thrills and excitement. Riverwind's beautiful, award-winning environment plays host to more than 2,800 of the latest electronic games with a huge selection of table games, including blackjack match, roulette, and Teddy's favorite, craps. No matter what your game, Riverwind has it in spades and hearts. And to learn more about their gaming promotions and entertainment options in the month of July, all you got to do is visit riverwind.com. Riverwind Casino, simply the best. Hope you had a great 4th of July weekend, Ted. Still in one piece? How we feeling?
Still in one piece. I got all the fingers as of right now. It's been awesome. Weather was amazing for the 4th of July. Had a good time around the house, friends, family. No complaints here.
No matter what you did, hope you had an awesome 4th of July weekend out there. I'll tell my 4th of July journey story and winners and losers, but Ted, we got some OU football stuff that we got to catch up on first. OU's officially in the SEC. We're here. We
We're
did
here.
it. And there were a lot of different things going on. They had things going on in Tulsa, things going on in Oklahoma City, clearly things going on in Norman. Ted, were you able to take part in any of the festivities?
Only slightly. I did the radio show from the Mont. Just kind of, I just went through campus a little bit to see what was all going on, and it was great. Very well done. It was brutally hot out there on Monday, and I was very impressed with the amount of people that were braving the heat to go out and hang around on campus and take part in all the different stuff. Very well done. I thought they did a really good job with it.
I thought the main point was just to create some buzz and to showcase the passion that the fan base has for the new era of OU football in the SEC, and not just football, but all the sports. I thought the fan base did a really, really good job of displaying that passion. Ted, everything I saw on social media, on TV, it 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 made Oklahoma look good, in my opinion, with everything that I saw.
Nope. I agree. I agree. And, just listening to some of the different people that came through to see what Oklahoma had to offer, it sounds like they were very impressed with the fan base, with the setup, with the stadium and the university. So I think all in all, it's a win. And it's just so funny that we've talked about this for so long and we're still a year early, which, I can't imagine if we still had to wait another year, but it's finally here. And I know we'll still talk about it a little bit because, I mean, it really won't feel official till you kick that ball off against Tennessee, right? But
Right.
it is a little bit different that we're here. There is no like when it happens or if it happens, it's that time. It's ready to roll, and it's all going to be here before you know it.
Yeah. I feel like the festivities of July 1st were the last thing until basically it felt like, hey, we're kicking this thing off. Let's roll.
Yeah, we do have uh SEC Media Days, which
Are you
is
gonna
going to be
go?
a. I'm not, but uh Tyler from the ref, he's going to be down there the entire time. So we'll have interviews and stuff coming out of there. But I personally am not going. But it's going to be I think we're maybe not thinking about it as much because Big 12 Media Days was not like nearly the spectacle that they make of the SEC Media Days. So I'm interested to see what comes out of that. I mean, there's always something that happens, or a statement or some type of controversy. There's going to be something. The soap opera will continue.
My prediction: a player from some other SEC school will basically say something to the effect of, "Oh, we're not worried about Oklahoma." Something
Yeah,
along those lines, and I can't wait because it'll just give us stuff to talk about. I love it. I'm so
it,
excited.
I know it's going to be fun, man. It's so. I guess we do have another box, I guess, to check beforehand, but getting close.
Yeah, I'm still not sure if I'm gonna go do radio for Sirius XM there or not, but I think that SEC Media Days, that you're right. That's kind of the last box to check before it feels like the season is here. Now,
Yep.
looking at all the things that took place on July 1st, I would say that there was one moment that got more attention than all the other moments, and that was what Joe Castiglione said on SEC Now. The quote was, "It is, I don't think it's that bad, but it did blow up on social media." And here's what Josie said: "I will tell you without reservation, every coach that we talked to was excited. And you know what? The ones that weren't aren't here anymore. This is Oklahoma. Either get with it or get on with it." Ted, first of all, just a fantastic line for Josie. I wonder how long he's had that one just loaded and ready to go. He's probably been saving that for nearly, what, a year at this point. But my goodness, did that create some waves?
It did a year, maybe longer. All right. That one's been loaded in the breach. But yeah, I thought it was great. It I think it hit the nerve maybe he was looking for, and it gave everyone a good laugh, I guess, to see that. Even on set, you could tell it gave everyone a quick little laugh. And hey, Josie he's the best because you don't get lines like this very often, right? It's like just right down the middle, and then whenever you least expect it, uh, he'll throw the weight around a little bit. So I thought it was just incredible. It was great.
That's what made it so effective. That's what made it stand out as much as it did. Is he's normally so diplomatic
Yep,
with what he says publicly, and that was a heater. I mean, that was.
it was.
But I think the fan base loved it. I think a lot of people around the country enjoyed it. But now that OU's in the SEC, now that the move is complete, I for one will be paying less attention to what is going on with Lincoln Riley and USC. Clearly, we'll talk about USC if they're playing in a big game and if it's relevant to the college football playoff picture. But I feel like Josie got us one last jab in. And now it's, for me at least, it's, hey, I'm focusing on what's going on with Oklahoma in the SEC because we got enough problems to worry about.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. It will be interesting though with the 12-team playoff, and we'll see how USC factors in. It's like as well as I do. If there is an opportunity, be it a bowl game or a playoff game, whatever it might be, because of statements like what Joe C said, and the tension hanging in the air, they're going to match Oklahoma and USC at the first opportunity they have.
I would be disappointed if they didn't.
I know.
It's what the sport, it isn't it what we all want? I would love that.
If you could hand select a team like to host a playoff game in Norman, is it you? Is that's got to be one of the teams that's very high up on the list.
Oh, there's no doubt. especially because with the way that we've recruited and the way that they've recruited these last couple of years, and there's some portal math in there as well, but you got to feel good about having a better roster than they've got. I That would be a fantastic. That'd be the best storyline in college football,
Mm-hmm.
and it would be the best crowd in the history of the stadium, probably.
Yep.
I mean, you've played in it. The best crowd I've ever seen in Norman was the 2000 Nebraska game. It's the best crowd. Now I was what 9 years old, but that's the best I've ever seen it. There's no doubt in my mind that if USC had to come to Norman for a playoff game, that it would just be unhinged. Has a negative
Unhinged.
connotation, but I think it would be unhinged.
It would be unhinged for sure. Especially if you're playing good football. All right. Especially if you're playing good football, that it would never let down. It would be a roar for 3.5 hours. That would be awesome.
The other football news is Emmett Jones's heater continues. Let's talk a little recruiting, Ted. Emmett Jones gets a commitment from Cortez Mills, 6'1", 180-pound wide receiver out of the state of Florida, chooses OU over Nebraska, LSU, and Clemson. Depending on where you look at the rankings, I mean, this is a guy that is arguably a top 10 wide receiver in the class of 2025. I believe 24/7 Sports has him as the 88th overall ranked player. You start look at the wide receiver class that Emmett Jones is stacking with Elijah Thomas, with Cortez Mills, with Marcus Harris, with Grayson Harris, and Emmanuel Choice. We've talked a lot about those guys, but these guys are from all over, Ted. That's the impressive part. You're talking Oklahoma, Florida, California, Texas. I mean, Emmett Jones is going anywhere and everywhere to find these guys, and man, he's just doing a fantastic job. We cannot compliment this guy enough.
No, it's really impressive. And he's put together he's put together some really good classes and really good portal acquisitions as well. I I I can't think of a time where we'll see how the production ends up, but just like as far as a group recruiting wise and where they're ranked, so to speak, it feels like the entire wide receiver group, the position group, maybe the best it's ever been as far as talent. I mean, it is loaded.
I I really liked LaDamian Washington. I enjoyed talking to the guy. I think that he's going to do really, really good things as a college football coach. I'm not sure I realized at the time just how significant of a hire Emmett Jones was.
Mm-hmm.
And the attitude that that guy brings to that room, it just brings to the entire football team, not just the offense, but just the entire football team. And just, he is not afraid of the grind of recruiting.
Nope.
Exactly the type of guy you need on a staff. And man, the results just speak for themselves. Now, of course, he's got to develop these guys, turn them into really good players, turn them into NFL players, like all that stuff, of course. But man, he has been a big time acquisition to Brent Venables' staff.
It's been incredible, and the proof will be in the pudding. We'll see. Like I said, I think I can't think of a time where the wide receiver core, like as deep as they are from first guy to last guy, had this much talent. And maybe there's some years, but I think production wise, I mean, when you think about the 4 or 5 top guys that may get the most run this year, I mean, size wise, athleticism, speed, you can check every single box with those guys. It would be a disappointment for me if by the end of this season, they're not getting some of the talks as one of the better wide receiver core, maybe the best wide receiver core in the country. That's how I feel about them talent wise. Do we hit that? we'll see. A lot of things have to go right offensively to get the most out of your wide receiver group. But if some other boxes we're able to check those on the offense, the wide receivers should have just a blow up season.
If they don't, that means, well, it really means one of two things, or maybe it could be both things. It means the offensive line did not come together and play at a high level, or it means Jackson Arnold's really struggling.
Mm-hmm. Which those two things, they don't have to be linked, but they'll make each other worse, you know?
Yes. It feels like there's definitely a correlation there. But yeah, if the wide receivers don't put up big numbers, it's alarming, because you look at the room, you look at the talent, you look at the different body types. I know they're going in the SEC. They're going to be playing against better players in conference play week in and week out. I get that, but with the dudes they have in that room, they should put up big numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't, you and I are going to be doing a lot of sad podcasts. And I don't want to do that again. I don't want to repeat what we did 2 years ago, Ted. We were so sad all the time.
No, I'm with you. We're not going to. It's going to be a great year.
So Emmett Jones is doing a fantastic job, and so is Brandon Hull. That's our guy. Ted B. Hall is our guy, but he's done and continues to do such a nice job stacking talent in that safety room. Omarion Robinson committed. This is a 6-foot safety out of the state of Arkansas, arguably the number one prospect in Arkansas. He chooses OU over Arkansas, Oregon, and LSU. Ted, it's always good when you go in to a state that has an SEC team and you take the top ranked player out of that state. Always a good thing.
Yeah. And, you know, we've talked about this before, but have to make the point. It wasn't very long ago at all that we had no chance to go into SEC territory for a highly recruited defensive player and beat out SEC schools or an Oregon, an LSU for a defensive player. It just didn't happen. We were recruiting a different level of player because we weren't winning those battles. So, I mean, you just have to look there. And it is happening now routinely on both sides of the ball. And the safety position, Brandon Hall, the guy is made for recruiting. He's just an all around. He's like the best guy to talk to. He could talk to anyone. He's a hell of a football coach too. I'm just talking about the recruiting side of things. What he's done with the safeties at Oklahoma, just talking about the wide receiver core, I definitely do not ever remember a time that the safety position has looked like it looks right now. It is incredibly deep. We have so many good players that it's like, how are you going to get guys on the field? Peyton Bowen's 5-star safety. Where's he going to play? You know, like, where are you going to play him right now? There's battles all over the place. There's battles at nickel, at the 2 safety spots. Whenever they're bringing an extra DB, I guess the 6 DB in, whenever they go with the dime stuff, there's incredible battles there. You got guys like, is Boganowski, can he play backer? And he's like a perfect guy that can play all of those positions. Maybe he ends up a cheetah, but the body types, the big physicality, it's really impressive. And to the point, whenever people are talking about Oklahoma, they do not recognize how much better what the roster looks like now compared to what it did only a short time ago.
A lot of shirtless pics out there at the safeties. saw that on the timeline quite a bit. And yeah, we have to look at them. It is what it is. It's not weird. There's a reason they're putting them out. Okay. It's fine. This is the way we can frame it. The body type, the length. It's in a better position than it's been in a long time in the safety room, Ted. I got to assume that's why.
Hey.
Whoever's putting the social media, whoever's taking those pictures of those guys in the workouts, That's what they're trying to get across when they send them to the guys to tweet them out, or the official OU football account tweets them out. They want us to know that the body type has changed at the position. That's my assessment of why they're putting out all the shirtless pics of the safeties.
And I love how it's like we're going to decide off of a picture who's had a good offseason and who hasn't,
Yeah.
right?
Billy Bowman, incredible
Oh,
offseason. Look at
he's had
him.
a great offseason. He's put on some muscle. He's trimmed up. Like maybe it's true, maybe it's not, but that's what we're gonna say.
I it's not weird, guys. It just is what it is. Football, it's a game of physicality. It's a game of measurables, right? So we're all looking at the same stuff. It's not weird. It's not weird at all.
Right.
Let's get to call your shot, Ted. We asked you guys the most important thing that happened for OU football this week, and we got a lot of answers along the same line here. And this one comes from Carter J, who says, we missed on a highly ranked offensive lineman again. Coach B may be one of the best developers in college football, but until we start landing studs, we are going to be behind the 8 ball. So this is clearly in reference to Lamont Rogers out of Mesquite choosing Missouri over OU, Texas, Texas A&M, I think was also in the fold there. But I think that OU fans have, I don't know, they're very pessimistic when it comes to landing the top offensive tackle recruits. Ted, now the Sooners still have 2 targets left when it comes to Michael Fasusi and Andrew Babalola. But yeah, Rogers chooses Missouri. It is what it is, man. I don't know. You weren't going to land all 3 of those guys, but it's important. Now they've already got Foje, but it's important that they land Fasusi or Babalola. Or gosh, could you imagine if they landed both? That'd be fantastic. But
That would be.
it is what it is. And it feels like NIL at work. And I'm not saying that Lamont Rogers only is going to Missouri over Oklahoma just because of NIL. I don't know that. I don't know what it all went into his decision making, but you're just not seeing a ton of schools stack 3 or 4 elite guys at one position, right? That's just, I feel like that's just not going to happen with the current system we have in college football. Maybe I'm an idiot, but that's just kind of how I feel about it, Ted.
No, I mean it feels more like free agency, doesn't it? You kind of have maybe the elite player or two at a couple of different position groups goes somewhere and kind of sets the market, and then you like see everything kind of fill in behind. And I'm sure it's no different for the offensive line. I still feel really good about where we're at with Fasusi. You mentioned Babaloa. I I imagine they're going to get one of those guys. I guess you never know, but I think the staff has felt pretty good about where they sit. And I don't know about like if the Lamont Rogers was one that they really expected to land, and if it came as a shock to them that he went to Missouri. I don't know exactly where they were on that, but I do think they feel pretty good about what the offensive line haul is going to look like this year. I mean, Foger's a good player. You got the kid from Utah committed. You add another good tackle to that mix. That's a hell of a year, recruiting. And I know that people, for whatever reason, Beaton Bow gets a hard time in recruiting. I think the transfer portal has kind of put them in a bad spot where they're kind of in the never ending cycle now of where they've had to address it a couple of times to go to the transfer portal, and you don't get the good development of the younger guys, and it can hurt you a little bit. So the Caden Green going to Missouri, like, we can't forget that we landed a 5-star tackle at that spot too, and he transferred away, which that stuff happens. But let's not forget that Bill's put together a couple of good classes too. I think the class that of guys that just showed up on campus is going to be really good. I mean, there's some really good potential in that group as well. So I'm not on board of the the Beanbo hate train when it comes to recruiting. I don't think it's accurate.
I think Bill is he is created this problem for himself by developing guys and putting them into the NFL.
4 tackles drafted in 2 years. I mean, it kind of decimates what you got depth wise.
Well, and that's, you got to remember, Anton Harrison could have come back for another year. Tyler Guyton could have come back for another year. Those guys went in the first round. It's hard to replace first round tackles. It just is. But I think what feels like a disconnect is how he's developing guys and where they're getting drafted and the star ranking of recruits that are being brought in. And I understand that. But I just am going to continue to have faith in Bill Bedenbaugh. He's going to, whatever guys end up wanting to come play for him, he's going to develop them into really, really good football players, really good offensive linemen. That's what I know. Now, would I love it if he could bring in a guy like Michael Fasusi that has those measurables and that level of talent, or a guy like Babalolo that has that, those movement patterns? Yes. I think he can do a lot with those guys. I think, like, if you look at Fasusi, and I've watched his highlight tape, that's all I have to go off of. But there are clips. He's got the movement of an elite tackle. He's got a lot of technical flaws. He hops instead of stepping. He plays too high. He doesn't bend at the knees well enough. He doesn't use his hands very proactively. But he shows some flashes where I believe if Bill could teach him the techniques that he teaches, that he could become a great player. He'll get his hands right. He'll get his feet right. Jerry Schmidt will take care of everything that he needs to take care of in the weight room. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that Michael Fasusi, if he comes and plays for Bill Bedenbaugh, will be an early round tackle. But Ted, there's just a lot of factors now when it comes to recruiting guys. Yep. And it's hard to predict which factors mean the most to which guys. It's just, I don't know. But yeah, there's no doubt that Bill Bedenbaugh, he needs to continue to land highly ranked guys because those guys are more physically gifted than other guys. But you look at a guy like Babalola, like, I think that he has the movement patterns of a tackle that could be a very, very good player. He's probably needs a little more strength development, a little more explosiveness work than Fasusi needs, but I liked both of those guys. If they land both of them, amazing. If they land one of them, great. But it's just, tackle has become such a premium position in recruiting. And with the NIL piece of it, man, it's hard to land those guys. It just is.
And it's interesting because I think we've seen with like the NIL and like the way that recruiting has gone, it's, I guess, like the NIL deals for players that are coming out of high school, receiver, running back, some of these spots, you see those guys in action right away, right? There's no like formula necessarily for like tackle. It just takes longer. Not that it's never been done as a freshman, early arrival guy, just step out there, start playing. It has been done, but it's not, there's way more to it to see all of it come to fruition, I think, with tackle, which can lead people to believe that you're not recruiting as good at a position. It's just the overall hit rate isn't nearly as high because you're teaching what you talk about is it's an unnatural athletic movement, and not everyone grabs it like the other guys do.
Yeah. So we'll see what ends up happening with those two guys, Fasusi and Babalolo. I understand the reaction of OU's fan base to Rogers picking Missouri, but just, hey guys, let's see what happens. Okay. And this is the bottom line. Oklahoma has one of, if not the best offensive line coach in all of college football. So just remember that. Just remember that. If Bill Beatonbow wanted to go somewhere else, he could go pretty much anywhere else in the country. So I'm just saying, he is embracing the NIL piece of recruiting. Like he has made that a point of emphasis. He's gotten better about that. Just I don't want to say take it easy because I don't need to say that for Bill, but just realize what you got, people. Just realize what you got.
Let me ask you this. And maybe you haven't seen enough of these guys to make like how you would legit pick it, but between Lamont Rogers, Fasusi, and Babalola, is there one that you like? How would you rank those three in your mind?
That's an interesting. I probably, and it's not just because he picked Missouri, I probably would have Rogers third in that list. And
he's a giant, right? That maybe doesn't move like these other two.
Enormous. I've talked about this a lot on here. I like guys that can really move. I like give me the athletic tackle every day of the week. And that's why Babalola really stands out to me. Just the way he's able to move. Now, I think he will take more time than Fasusi. There are a couple clips of Fasusi where he is moving. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's just they're probably not the clips that would stand out to other people. All the ones of him, pancaking guys and doing that stuff are probably the ones that catch other people's attention. There's these couple clips of him running in space. And the way that he's moving, like that's what catches my attention. Babalola's got a lot of those where he moves like a smaller human being. But I also think that he is, he's got a long way to go technically and needs to add a lot of strength. So I feel like if you guarantee me 3 years with the guy, I would probably take Babalola over Fasusi. But I think Fasusi could get on the field before Babalola if you got him. Does that make sense?
No, that makes sense. Yeah.
I am a sucker for big people that move like little people. Because I believe you can be taught the technique. Both guys have good attitude. Like they finish a lot of blocks. You go look at their highlight tapes. They're burying guys in the ground. That's great. They're also bigger and stronger than a lot of the guys that they're blocking. I'm about the movement patterns, like the overall athleticism. I think the other stuff can be taught, and that a lot of it has to do with my experience, playing with, let's be real, some of the best tackles that have ever played football. And guys like Trent Williams in college, Lane Johnson in college, got to see Joe Thomas when I was in Cleveland, and those guys all have something in common. They're just really good athletes. Mm-hmm. The technique came. They developed the strength. They're just really, really good athletes that can move. And so that's kind of where my, the mold I look for in an offensive tackle is it's heavily influenced by those type of guys.
No, that makes sense. Makes sense. So we still got some great options out there.
Yes. Fantastic options.
Good.
I think if you land one of those two guys, you're feeling really good. If you land them both, my goodness, let's go.
Yeah. If you,
it's not gonna be easy. Not gonna be easy. This is a competitive market with no cap.
That's right. And they don't make very many guys like that. So there's always going to be, I guess, for lack of a better phrase, there's always going to be a bidding war. Everyone wants those guys. So we'll see if we can pull it off. Be huge.
You ready to talk some bull riding?
Oh, of course.
I think this is one of the best interviews we've ever done.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
JB Mauney, for those of you that aren't bull riding fans, he's one of the most famous bull riders ever. And now he is coaching the Oklahoma Wildcastters, which is the PBR Teams team. here in the state of Oklahoma, and they're hosting the first PBR Teams event of the season this week at Paycom Center. And they have sent us, and I will put the ticket links in the show notes, both on Spotify, Apple, and on YouTube. There'll be a Ticketmaster link. You can use code RIDE, RIDE, for 20% off tickets to the event here in Oklahoma City. So use it, people. Use it. They're giving us a discount for our listeners, which is pretty cool. But I just can't wait for people to hear JB Mooney. I mean, you talk about a true cowboy boy. My goodness.
When you look up bull rider in the dictionary, this is who you see.
Let's talk some bull riding. But first, Love's Travel Stops is now offering a nationwide 10-cent per gallon discount on gas and auto diesel. Just download the Love's Connect app and scan your barcode at the prompt on screen and watch that price drop 10 cents per gallon. Across the country, the Love's Connect app unlocks exclusive deals and can help any traveler plan their route or meal on the highway. So before you hit the road, be sure to download the Love's Connect app to save 10 cents per gallon and experience the country's best highway hospitality at Love's Travel Stops. Love's also has you covered if you forget your phone, charger, or headphones with their expanded mobile to-go zone. And of course, don't forget to grab yourself some of that delicious Java Amore.
And celebrate with a Schooner All-American Ale, the official craft beer of OU Athletics from Coop Ale Works. Named after the iconic Sooner schooner that races across Owen Field after an OU score, you can join in on the celebration with an ice-cold beer from Coop Ale Works. You can enjoy it at the Palace on the Prairie, at OU Athletic events, at the bar, at the tailgate, and in the comfort of your own home. For more information on Schooner All-American Ale, visit SchoonerAle.com. Must be 21 to purchase. Please drink responsibly. Schooner All-American Ale, the taste of game day.
And we love Simple Modern. Simple Modern is an Oklahoma-owned drinkware company and number one drinkware sales leader on Amazon and Target. And this summer, Simple Modern launched its summer shop where they drop new and unique drinkware options every other Tuesday all summer long. Now you can get your own limited edition version of their extremely popular 40-ounce Treks in designs you won't see anywhere else. And even better, Simple Modern exists to give generously and back to school stuff. It's here. They got all of that stuff too, but they also donate 10% of all their profits. So you can know you're helping better Oklahoma and beyond with every purchase. Check out the summer shop and all their amazing products at simplemodern.com. All right. Here's one of the best bull riders ever. A little something a little different for you, ladies and gentlemen. Here's JB Mooney. It is our pleasure to be joined by the head coach of the Oklahoma Wildcatts. He also just happens to be one of the best bull riders to ever live. JB Mooney is in the house. What's going on, man?
Oh, little as possible. Don't ever work like that.
You told us whenever you got on, you were working some bulls. What does that consist of?
Oh, just depends. That's every day around here. I've got a bunch of calves turned out. I had to pin them, got to go through them, work them through the chute, just getting them calmed down so they're not so spastic.
Love it. Now, wanted to talk about your new role as the head coach for the Oklahoma Wildcatts before we kind of dive into your bull riding career. You guys have the first event of the PBR team season in Oklahoma City this week. Just how excited are you to coach the Wildcatts for the first time?
Oh, I'm pretty pumped. It being a new team, the first event we'll go to is the home team, so home game pretty much. So, the pressure's on. Them guys are going to have to ride, and I'm going to help them as much as I possibly can.
What is your role as the coach? Is it kind of line up? Who's going where? How do you fit in?
Yeah, I help with picking, which guys to draft. Brandon Bates, we'd sit down, we'd talk about guys, which ones I like, which ones, I didn't think would fit being on my team, things like that. But my job is pretty much, watch the guys. If I see them doing something wrong, try to critique it, help them as best I can to make them the best bull riders they possibly can.
How difficult is that for you? Because you're one of the best to ever do it. You probably just got some more natural ability to do it than some of these guys that you're coaching. Like, how do you balance that? Like, hey, just do it this way when maybe they can't They don't have the skill set that you had.
Well, I started getting on bulls when I was 13, and there was not a whole lot of natural ability. It was I tied my hand in there and I made sure it wouldn't come out. And over the years, trial and error pretty much, and I halfway feel like I figured out how to ride them. But that's all I ever studied. From the time I was old enough to put a tape in the VCR, the rule around my house was I had to do my homework before I could watch bull riding. And so that's all I ever watched. That's all I studied. That's all I wanted to be, was a cowboy and a bull rider. So jobs I had was always something, working at sale barns, being around cattle, that. And, now I've got the place set up here, same thing. I work bulls every day of my life. And I think being the way I was when I was younger and paying attention, a lot of people don't know how much I paid attention to it. But every ride, whether I was 0, whether I was 92, when I got home, I put them in slow motion. I broke them down, jump from jump, figured out what I could be doing better to make myself better the next time. And, I can sit back and watch a guy get on a bull and I can tell him exactly what he did wrong just right off the bat. And I believe it's because that's all I've ever studied pretty much my entire life.
How much is it scouting the bulls and knowing what they're going to do? I mean, I'm sure to some degree there's a guess when they're coming out. Like, you're thinking they're going to do one thing, but how much of that is part of it, kind of knowing your bulls and being prepared for what they typically do?
Well, see, I always shot from the hip. I never set a game plan. The rule of thumb in bull riding is you set a trap, you get caught in it. And those bulls are smart. They people don't give them enough credit. They feel a fly land on their back, take their tail and swish it off. They know exactly where you're at, where your weight's at. So if they feel you kind of your weight shift to one side, they'll turn back the other way and try to buck you off. And so for me, I kind of went at it. This will be a little different for me. I didn't want to know what the bulls did because I felt like I did. I rode better just riding jump for jump, not setting a game plan, just let my body do what it knew how to do and keep my head out of the way. And for me, now I'm going to have to match guys up with bulls I think that'll fit, but it's still the same thing. Like, I just won't tell them what the bull does. If they ride better like I did, shooting from the hip, I just won't tell them what they do. Make the whistle.
So is that something you're having to learn about each of your guys individually, right? I feel like the greatest coaches, no matter what sport you're talking about, you got to know the way to coach each guy individually. Have you started to figure some of that out with your lineup?
Yeah, for me, my retirement wasn't just September last year. I rode with a lot of these guys, and one guy on our team, Clay Guyton from North Carolina, I rode bulls with his dad. So, I kind of know how they are. I've been around them before, but it's still going to be a learning process when we all get in the locker room at a team event. It'll have a little different atmosphere, I would say, but you just got to feel each guy out and figure out what works best for them.
I've kind of always wondered, you have, we come from the football world and you've got an off season and, you're lifting weights, trying to get bigger, stronger, faster. What's the body preparation for a bull rider, like during the season, between events? Cause I'm sure you got to stay healthy. So I'm sure you're not out there on trophy bulls all day long practicing. Like, how do you stay sharp without doing the full thing?
For me, that was the only way I did it. They've got kind of drop barrels and things that imitate bulls, but the drop barrel is to critique form, just minor stuff. And by the time they get to the level they're at right now, they've got the form. It's just the way it goes. And I feel like the only way, like a lot of guys say, well, you killed yourself off getting on practice bulls. That's why I stayed so beat up, so crippled all the time. But I felt like the more bulls I got on, the better I rode. And it's weird. It's hard to explain. You can go to the gym every day of your life. Like I know a guy that just came back and has been had shoulder surgery, been going to physical therapy every day. And he came to the house, got on 2 bulls the other day, and he hit the ground. And he said, man, I'm not in riding shape. It's a whole totally different, animal. And I feel like the guys that work more on the muscle, they tear more muscles because you get them bigger, you get them tighter. When you're matched up against a 2,000-pound bull and you're trying to out muscle him, there's one thing going to give, and it's not that bull.
Yeah.
So I more or less worked on flexibility, balance, things like that, to where I've seen a lot of guys that worked out, hit the gym every day, got big, stout, and they tear biceps, tear groin muscles. And I just think that it was because they were so big and tight. If you do get out of shape, something's going to give, and it's not going to be your opponent.
Yeah, that's a really interesting way of looking at it, JB. Have you seen training for bull riders, right? You were in the game a long time. Now you're in coaching. Like, how much has the preparation and the training, like how much has that changed over the years? Like the approach?
Oh, it's a world of difference. When I first come around, it was the old school cowboy mentality. We're not going to no gym. I ride horses, work cattle all day. I went to a gym, once in my life to buy a membership for a tax write-off and never went back. And, for me, I've smoked cigarettes for a long time, and everybody would always, well, you're an athlete. Well, I'm not running a marathon. I can hold my damn breath for 8 seconds. And, I think a lot of it has to do more with mental. Yes, you have to be in shape, but the way I felt about it is I work enough during the day messing with bulls. I'm always moving around, swinging around gates. I didn't need to go to the gym. I didn't have to work because the things I did at home were work enough. And then when I was 20, 22 years old, it wasn't nothing. We'd work all day, and then we'd go run in a set of bulls, and I'd get on 8 or 9 bulls a day. And that's just what worked for me. It doesn't work for everybody, and that's the one thing you got to figure out with each guy, and I've told a lot of guys, they said, well, you never worked out. No, but the mental side comes into it. You do whatever makes you feel like you perform better, and you stick with that, and that's what you do. So if you go to the gym 3 days a week and you go to the bull riding that weekend, you win the bull riding, by God, you better be there 3 days next week. Whatever that you get stuck in your head makes you ride better, you keep doing it.
Now, your tactics are well known. You go pick up you're going for the best whenever you ride.
Oh yeah.
So kind of a 2-part question here. Give me like the 3 or 4 best bulls of all time, and have the bulls gotten better over the years? I'm sure it's like everything's got more competitive. There's more money in it. Like, I'm sure the bulls are also, as the riders are getting better and everyone else is, so are the bulls.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it's kind of like everybody used to joke, but whether they're raising and breeding bulls now, they better start breeding some better bull riders. It's like the racehorse business. It's all about the bloodlines. And, they are, over the years, there's always been ranked bulls, but it seems like nowadays there's more of them. Used to be you'd go and if a guy showed up with 10 bulls, he'd have 4 on there were really, really bucking hard to ride, some with guns, and then the rest were mediocre. Now when they show up with a trailer load of bulls, every one of them steps off that trailer bucks like hell. And that's one of the reasons that I feel like guys don't practice quite as much like I used to, is because if you show up at somebody's house needing to buck bulls, they're not bucking, a practice bull. They're bucking their bulls, getting them ready to go events. So you're getting on a short round type bull instead of a practice bull. And I mean, it's a double-edged sword, but you're riding bulls for a living.
I'm pretty sure now your career ended. You still had a lot more years left in you as a rider, but the broken neck cuts it short. Did you really buy the bull that you were on when you broke your neck?
I didn't buy him. They sent him to me. I called Matt Sharping owns him, and Grace and his partner, they owned him. And I called Matt after I got home. Matt was he felt pretty bad about the whole situation. He was like, man, are you all right? said, yeah, I'm fine. I mean, I was sitting, I had a neck brace home. I was already back home. And I said, yeah, I'm all right, dude. And he's like, man, I just hate it. And I was like, it's not like you did it. The bull didn't even do it. I just hit wrong. And he said, yeah, but you're my buddy. It was my bull. I said, I mean, I'm not going to worry about it, so you don't worry about it. I said, what are you going to do with him anyways? He said, well, we're probably going to retire him. He's getting a little age on him. And he actually sends bulls down here to a guy's place about 5 miles from here. He winters. He's from Minnesota, so he sends a bunch of them older bulls down here to winter them. And so it's not so cold on them. Well, I said, well, put him on the truck headed down there. He said, why? I said, I want him. You're going to retire him. I want him. He said, what are you going to do with him? I said, stand him in the pasture and look at him every day. He said, why? I said, there's not very many people say they have the last bull they ever got on standing there. And I said, he retired me, so now he gets to retire with me. And just so happens he's a big old pet. You can walk out there and scratch all over him like a big dog.
Oh, it's crazy. I know. I mean, when the injuries, obviously, maybe there's no, whenever you see him walking around out there, you got no feelings, but I'm sure deep down you want to get back on one more time, right?
Every day of my life. That's the hardest thing I've ever fought in my entire life. The hardest decision I ever made. I mean, they made it pretty easy on me because I had two options if I landed on my head like that again, and it was either a wheelchair or dead. So it made it pretty simple. And I told somebody, I said, if it wasn't for my wife and little boy and stuff like that, having a family, I'd have probably kept right on riding bulls because it's a gamble every time you nod your head. It's a game of inches. They step on you the right way, you're done. And so with them and being, my career, as long as I had it, I accomplished pretty much everything. I still is the hardest thing I ever had to do in my entire life. And then I still have to fight the urge every day. And somebody said, well, being a coach, is that kind of helping? I was like, well, it's the same kind of deal, double-edged sword. I get to be around it, so it keeps me involved. But also, if I see somebody fall off one, I'm thinking in my head, hell, I could have rode that son of a gun. I mean, but that'll never leave you. I mean, you'll have that. I'll have that till the day I die. But, I would rather be around it than to not be around it.
That's kind of like us, Ted. We do the broadcasts for football, so it's like we get to scratch the itch a little bit without any of the danger or feeling terrible all the time, like with the way that your body can feel. Now, going back to the PBR teams, you guys have the first event at Paycom Center, July 12th through 14th. Are you glad you're hosting the first event? Do you like it because it's new team, bunch of energy? Like, are you excited that you guys get the one right out of the gate?
Oh yeah, my career, when they back me in a corner and they put more pressure on me, I come firing on all cylinders. So, I feel like riding bulls, you have to have a little bit of a chip on your shoulder. You got to have, it's got to be kind of a pride thing. No matter whether I was at a practice pen or whether I was at the bull riding, I want to win. I want to be the guy at the practice pen that got on more bulls than anyone else. When I showed up to the bull ridings, when I had a chance to pick, I wanted to pick the rankest one in there just to prove to myself, I can ride them. And I feel like new team, first event, the pressure is going to be on to perform, and it'll make it a lot easier on me to separate the men from the boys.
For all the people that are wanting to come out to the event, who are some of the names out there that are some of the maybe big up and comers, some of the best guys in the game that are going to be at the event?
Oh, well, everybody in the PBR, Josh Frost, he'll be in Calgary. Unfortunately, he already had that, set before we picked him. Some of those guys, our top guys, a couple of them won't be there, but the guys we've got lined up to get on bulls there are going to be ready. Court McFadden, he'll be there. Let's see, Haken Braswell, he's a young kid, rides really, really good, and we're throwing him in the lineup. So that's pretty much our case hit. That's pretty much our team. I went with Josh Frost, is about the oldest guy on our team. And, I told Brandon, we talked about it, I said, I want young guys. And he said, what do you mean? I said, it's kind of like the old saying, you can't teach a old dog new tricks. I said, for me, for instance, I was set my ways when it came to riding bulls. You couldn't have taught me anything else. I was going about it the way I wanted to do it. Nobody was going to change my mind. And I said, you take a young guy that's got the fire, the drive, hungry, and you don't change him, but you critique him. And I said, I think it'll help them young guys out tremendously to improve their careers faster than what I did, because everything I did was just pretty much trial and error. If it didn't work, I tried not to do it again.
Good way of doing it. Now,
That's right.
you made, I mean, you're one of the most famous names in bull riding. You made your living as an individual, right? Doing it your way. Are you a fan of the teens concept? I know it's only the second season. Like, how are you, how are you adjusting to what is looking like the future of the PBR with this team's concept?
At first, I was against it, but I was still riding. And as a rider, you can ask anybody. I went at it old school, and I was like, no. And they said, what? I said, I'm not riding my bull to make Joe Blow's living over here. I said, this is not how it works. And I said, I don't expect him to stay on his bull to make my living. But now, being on the outside looking in, not being a rider, I can see why they're pushing towards this. It's just like any other team sport. You don't just have you'll still have your individual fans, but like at a regular season event, you'd show up, you'd have, JB Mooney fans, Larry Marksy fans, everybody was pulling for a specific person. Now you got a whole state behind them. And I remember it like Brazil. We went to Brazil for the Global Cup one year. And those fans during the bull riding were all Brazil. I mean, they cheered louder when an American got bucked off than when a Brazilian stayed on. But as soon as it was over with, they all wanted to take a picture with me. They were like, oh, they love you down here. I was like, they damn sure didn't act like it while the bull riding was going on. But, that's the way I look at it, is because, they're still, well, I like that guy, I like that guy. But I'm pulling for my team, and I see where they're coming with it from. And I think it'll lead into bigger things, and I think it'll be better for the sport.
Now, is your philosophy, you're picking the best bulls? Is that your advice for the guys on the team, those young guys? Because I'm sure not everyone is necessarily up for that.
Well, Brandon, he had to remind me a couple times. He said, "Now look, this is a team. It's a team. It's not just one gunslinger. It's a team." I said, I'm picking up what you're laying down. But the best part is you don't pick your bulls. They draw a certain amount of bulls for your team, then sit down, you decide who's getting on what. So it's not like you're stepping out there and they give you a whole sheet you get to pick from. So that'll make it a little easier on me.
I'm curious, just because you seem like a guy now with what you've got going down in Stephenville with your ranch and all the bulls and stuff. Maybe coaching was a natural next step for you. How did Gooch and Brandon Bates, how did they convince you to come coach the team? Because I could see you initially being resistant to that.
I thought about it a little bit. Well, actually, Brandon called me, and I still have my neck brace on. I had to wear that thing 6 weeks after I broke my neck. So I was out here working bulls with a neck brace on, sweating my ass off. And Brandon called me, and he's like, "Hey, I got a question for you." I said, "Yeah." I've known Brandon since I was in it, since 2006 when I started in the PBR, 2005. And he said, "It's a new team coming in. I'm going to be the general manager. Would you be interested in coaching it?" I said, "Where's it at?" He said, "Oklahoma." And I said, "Well, yeah, I probably would be." He said, "Really?" Like, he was surprised I said it that fast. And I said, yeah, because unfortunately, I said, I broke my neck, so they let me off my last job, and I really don't have a whole lot to do right now. And I know me, it was nice being at home because the last 20 years of my life, I was gone. We never slowed down. I never hit the brakes unless I was hurt. And so I kind of got used to being at home there. I was like, man, I can get a lot of stuff done being at home, not leaving all the time. But I know me. I can only take so much of just sitting around doing the same thing every day, and I would get the itch to go do something. So that this will be able to fill that gap where I feel like I'm still going and rodeoing or riding bulls. I get to leave and go to the bull riding and stuff like that. And the other reason, he's like, you really would be interested? I said, yeah, because I'd love nothing more than to come back and kick the rest of them coaches' asses.
I love it. If let's say you had one more final opportunity, you could pick any bull ever across history for a final ride. Who you picking?
Oh man, that's pretty hard. There's a lot of them older bulls from back in the '90s, early 2000s. I would have wanted to get on. To narrow it down to one, I don't know. I kind of like my face, so I doubt Bodacious. Uh, there's a bunch of them. Red Rock. There's quite a few of them old school bulls I'd have wanted to get on.
Now, clearly the riding career ends because of the broken neck. But what's the injury history? I think a lot of people look at riders, and my first thought when I see a guy on a bull is that dude's crazy. And then my second thought is, I wonder how many times he's been injured. I wonder how many surgeries he's had. What was your injury history like as a rider?
Oh, it started off right off the bat. Probably, well, it was about a week before we were going to buy our PBR permits. I hung up to a bull, drug up underneath him, and long story short, he come around, stumped me in the stomach, both back feet. Ended up, it broke every rib on my right side, lacerated my liver, bruised my kidneys, my spleen. Well, me being as hard headed as I am, I didn't go to the hospital that night. Went home, went to bed, and the next morning I got up, had a big knot on my stomach. So went to the doctor's office. They sent me to the hospital. They were going to die through me, went freaking out. And the surgeon come in and she said, as bad as it was, she said, you should have got up, made it 5 feet, and your liver should have ruptured and you bled out right there. You should have never made it out of the arena. For some reason, my liver swelled. That's what the knot was on my stomach. And it didn't rupture. She said, there's no medical reason why you're alive. Like, I don't know why it swelled and didn't rupture. I said, well, good thing it didn't, I guess. But that kind of was what really made me kick it into gear. Because, when you're 16, 17, 18 years old, you're invincible. Yeah, they can hurt you, but not bad enough, And right then, when they told me I should have killed me, well, heck, I couldn't ride. So I had a job at a ball bearing plant. I was covered in grease and hydraulic oil every day inside. And you combine those two things. And I told my dad, I said, when I go back to riding bulls, they're going to have hell throwing me off. And he said, why? I said, because I can't do this the rest of my life. And, it just made me open my eyes. Like, all right, if I'm going to do this, I better mean it. And so from then on, I've had injuries, a broken neck thing, but I got a plate and some screws in my left hand. I pretty much tore my right arm off. There's a screw and 13 anchors in my right shoulder. Got a plate against my pelvis to reattach all the crap I ripped off it, muscles, and both knees. I don't have anything scar tissues holding my knees together. There's no ACL, MCL, or PCL in either knee. I need a hip replacement. I just keep putting it off. Broken bones, stitches. That's the minor stuff that don't count. They sew you up right there in the back, so that don't really mean anything. Broke my back, left lung. The list goes on and on. And shit, there was stuff I didn't even know I'd broke till I tore something else up. I had to go get x-rays, and they're like, oh, when'd you break your leg? And I was like, I never broke my leg. They're like, yeah, you did. Yeah. That's why some bitch is sore, I guess. And, but I learned at an early age. My dad kind of drilled it in my head. He said, "Look, this is all on you. Nobody's making you do this, you know. But if you're going to do it, you play the game, you take the pain." And I lived by that my entire life.
Yeah, it's interesting because you ride, you get the 8 seconds. Now it's not like it's over and the bull stops and it's like, good job, and drops you back off over at the chute. Like, what's the game plan for getting off?
That's when I got down the most nervous was when the whistle blew. Riding part was easy, but dismounting for me was hell. I tied my hand in that bull rope. I had it sticky, and the way I took my wrap, I had it buried off in there. So my hand wouldn't come out very easy. So when that whistle blew, I was like, "Oh shit, here we go!" And a couple of my fingers don't straighten all the way out on my damn riding hand, so it hang in my bull rope, whip me up underneath them, and you try to plan it out the best you can to dismount, and seemed like all my plans never went the way I wanted them to. But if I would have been 25% better at my dismounts, I wouldn't be near as beat up as I am now.
That's good. You don't really think about that part of it, getting off once you've completed the ride.
Yeah. Either way, whether you do good or not, you still got to hit the ground.
That's a tremendous point, JB. Now, you accomplished now that you're done riding. I have to imagine you've been able to look back at your career and kind of take that look and go, okay, yeah, I'm proud of all these different things I've accomplished. How did it feel? Kind of get the ultimate honor and be inducted into the Bull Riding Hall of Fame.
I never even thought they would have called me. When they called me and told me I was on the list to vote for, I was like, man, that's pretty cool. And then they called me back and said, "Hey, you're getting inducted." Man, there was guys up there that, they got inducted at the same time. Pete Gay, my heroes, guys I looked up to. And when we're at the Hall of Fame, induction, I'm standing up on stage looking across this room at guys that every one of them played a role in my bull riding career, and they never had a clue because I watched them old videos. I never watched new videos and stuff. I watched old bull riders, and that from those days, they were rough, tough, and cowboy about things. It was pretty much don't matter how bad you're hurting, you got a job to do and you take care of business. And so that's kind of the way I went about it. Be able to stand up there and get inducted into that with the guys that were my heroes and help my career so much without them even knowing they had anything to do with it, and it was pretty damn cool. I got to hang out, drink beer with my heroes.
That's awesome, man. I got one more for you. Is there anyone in PBR right now? And it doesn't have to be anyone on your team, just anyone in general. Is there any rider out there that kind of reminds you of yourself when you watch them?
Oh yeah, the way Clay Guyton rides bulls, the boy from North Carolina, like the way his free arm is, he's got a little bit better control over his free arm at a younger age than I did. But the way he tries, he very seldom do you ever see him turn his head and take the easy way out.
I like it. All right, man. Hey, best of luck this week. You got the entire state behind you in the Wildcastters, man. Let's go.
Oh, we're ready to rock and roll.
You're the man, JB. Thanks for the time.
Yes, sir. No problem.
That was awesome.
I know, dude, is incredible. I'm just thinking, which one of our advertisers am I going to brand their logo onto my arm like he did Monster Energy drink?
He is, I mean, if that guy is sponsored by Monster, and if he could get a Marlboro Red sponsorship, I think he would die happy.
Oh my gosh, what a guy.
Oh,
what a guy.
Reminder,
fantastic.
Check out the ticket link in the show notes and use code RIDE, RIDE, for 20% off to that PBR Teams event this week in Oklahoma City. Let's finish up with our winners and losers of the weekend. First,
All you grill masters, listen up. Didier Ranch delivers premium quality beef that is 100% raised in Oklahoma right to your front door. Go to didierranch.com, DIDIER ranch.com to order one of their premium quality beef boxes and use promo code Oklahoma15 for 15% off your order. Filet, ribeye, Newark strip, sirloin, steak burgers, they've got it all, and they ship anywhere in the continental U.S., and Oklahomans can get deliveries in just 1 to 2 days. The only thing better than having a lot of premium beef on the O-line and D-line is having premium beef delivered right to your front door. Didier Ranch, tradition tastes better.
And head to the garage for hand-smashed patties, butter toasted buns, and some ice-cold beer. It's the perfect spot to watch any big game, and with all the garage locations being open to 10 p.m. or later every night, it's the go-to late-night spot. Visit eatatthegarage.com to find a location near you and order online from the garage in your neighborhood.
Attention business owners, you need Insurica in your life. Insurica is one of the country's largest insurance brokers with 30 offices throughout Oklahoma, Texas, and the Southwest. Insurica is able to customize programs by accessing the latest information from many insurance carriers. They compare and contrast coverage offerings and pricing in order to design a cost-effective, comprehensive program to meet your business's specific needs. If your business partners with Insurica, you'll save huge amounts of money and take back control of your total cost of risk. If your business wants to be best in class, connect with Insurica at insurica.com. That's INSURICA.com.
As always, Ted, kicks off. Who do you have as your winner of the weekend?
Lewis Hamilton.
How about that?
9th win at Silverstone, a new record. Pretty impressive. Holding off Verstappen.
I went to Silverstone, Kings of Leon.
Like?
It's kind of in the middle of nowhere, honestly. And I went to Kings of Leon Playday concert to open that weekend there at Silverstone. Fantastic crowd. Had a blast. Got to see George Russell. Didn't see Lewis Hamilton. I was hoping I'd see Lewis Hamilton. Saw George Russell, though. But, yeah, Formula One's a big deal over there, man. There's so many people. There's like this giant festival. It was super cool. We thought about staying for the race and all that, but, dude, we've been gone so much this month or these last couple months. We needed to get home. So we ended up coming home on Saturday, and I'd figured one of the British guys would win the race, you know?
Yeah.
That's a lie. I thought Verstappen would win. I mean, come on. But hey, right. always fun to win your home race.
Yeah. No, it is. And I think, what is it? Schumacher had the record before, and now Lewis Hamilton has it. So that's awesome. And it seems like things are going better for Lewis Hamilton this year. Quite a bit better.
Yeah. Lewis Hamilton is, that guy is a rock star over there.
Yeah. I saw all the clips because, as I was looking through and I saw that he won, and all of like the crowd shots of people watching in bars and everything around there. Like that was a big one. There were a lot of people pulling for him to win that.
His first win since 2021 at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix.
Wow.
That has to feel good, man.
No doubt.
Home race. It's been a while since you've tasted the sweet, sweet nectar of victory. You do it in dramatic, like comeback fashion. Ooh, that had to feel good.
I guess he was pretty emotional after the win. I mean, you're right. That's a pretty long drought there to go through, and there've been some ups and downs, but it seems like they're in a much better spot. So good to see him get the win. Maybe that's gonna trigger something there with him.
104th Formula One victory. It's a lot, man.
It's a lot of wins.
A lot of wins. All right, who do you have as your loser of the weekend?
Now, this has been a while, but I had to get your thoughts on this. The men's national team.
Oh, boy.
In the Copa America, not a good showing.
Yeah, that's an understatement. Like, I for one, I was starting to get really excited for the World Cup in a couple years.
Yeah.
It's going to be a massive deal. I'm going to try to go to a game somewhere. Haven't decided which city we're going to try to get. Like, I got to check that off the bucket list. Got to check it off the bucket. We are hosting a World Cup. Well, we've got the World Cup, and then we're going to do the Olympics.
Right.
Going to be able to knock both of those off the bucket list. But damn, man, I don't feel good about the World Cup. Now we're in because we're the host nation, but we had an easy group too.
Easy.
They handed us an easy group and we couldn't get out. What do you do? Fire Berhalter? Like, what do you do?
I don't know. I guess I have like a more, why has there been no acceleration? I mean, there's good players from the U.S. that are playing all over the European leagues. I mean, the talent has definitely gotten better, but I guess I don't understand why the national team really has made, during my lifetime, I don't feel like they've made any progress at all. Maybe even regressed, if that's even possible.
We lost to Panama. In a sport. We lost to Panama in a sport. I'm not going to pretend I'm super dialed into the American soccer scene. I'm just not. Like, I know Pulisic. I know some of the big name players, but I don't know. It's just not as big of a deal here, man.
I know.
And that's why it's not, it feels like even though it feels like there's been more effort into developing younger players in the country, like, and the money they're pumping into that. I don't know. It just feels like the gap is so big and I don't want to sound defeated, but it just feels like we're never going to make it up with how important this is to other countries around the world.
Okay. I agree. If we were talking about, like, maybe we never make up the gap with, with Brazil, with France, with, some of these places that have, I don't know how long the jump start on us was, but a very, very long time. But we're talking about a country of, I don't know, close to 350 million people, and Panama, Uruguay, like
Panama.
Come on. I can't. It's weird. But I don't have the answer. I don't know. There's probably a simple answer out there, and people that are dialed in could tell us, but it's like the only sport that we can't keep pace in.
And the men's national team, like, you've got the women's national team and all the success that they've had in other countries around the world. They're investing more in women's soccer, and like the gap is closing. There's no doubt. But the women's team has just been dominant for so long, and then the men's team has just been, can you even call it mediocre?
No.
Below average? Like, I don't even know how to describe the program as a whole, but it has been extremely underwhelming. And they had this opportunity. Copa America. I was watching the games. They were on Fox.
Yeah.
Easy to find. Stumble upon them. Like, oh, awesome. I want to watch some men's national team. Let's go. This is sweet. Great opportunity to build some momentum for the World Cup that we're hosting in 2 years. And now I feel like we feel worse about it than ever.
Maybe it's one of those, any publicity is good publicity. And I mean, people are talking about it again. I mean, not in a good way, but I don't know what they do moving forward. Like, it doesn't seem to me like, and I'm sure there are some strategy issues that I can't pick up on, and that people would say like the coaching is the problem. But my goodness, it's got to be deeper than that, right?
I feel like you and I are on the same page with this. Typically, coaching absolutely matters. Strategy absolutely matters. The way that you structure practice and your training, like that stuff, there's no doubt plays a big role. But at some point, it's the player's fault. And that's where I'm at with the men's national team. You guys can blame whoever you want. We've blamed coach after coach after coach. Berhalter, what? I think they said next week they're going to decide his fate. They're going to fire him, right? They have to.
Probably,
but
yeah.
The players are the ones not getting it done. Like Berhalter's just standing there in the jacket on the sideline. Wearing a polo, like just, pointing. At some point, it's the players, man. And it feels like a soccer thing. Just worldwide, you blame the coach. It seems like that's who you blame if things go wrong. It's like you just blame the coach immediately.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel the opposite. Like players got to step it up. Got to play better. We need better players.
That's it.
If they can't get the job done, find guys that can get the job done.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like at some point, and I know the comment is always, well, the best athletes in the U.S. they don't play soccer. They play, 4 or 5 other sports before you even get to soccer. But I mean, to a degree, I think that is kind of a cop out. There are plenty great athletes in the United States to go around, and there are plenty of guys there's good athletes out there. Like soccer's a skill game above all else. I mean, obviously when you marry incredible athleticism with great skills, that's whenever you get the great players. So we have good enough athletes on our teams. The skill set just isn't there. And until maybe you see a guy become super famous, we've had a couple of guys kind of flirt with that. But until you see that and see that there's an avenue to make a ton of money in that sport, then I don't know that you're ever going to get the buy-in that you need for the skill development. But I don't know. That's just a theory.
This is what we need. We need the NFL to continue to devalue the running back position. And then we need to take those guys that would be NFL running backs and get them into youth academies and make them soccer players. What do you think?
It's a great idea. I mean, they're all going to just start playing wide receiver, though.
Damn it. But take the 5'10" ones.
It's a good theory. Yeah.
But I don't know. But all I know is we just went bull riding, Formula One into soccer.
Wow.
Look at us.
That's showing some range there. I don't know if that's a good thing or not.
Serious versatility. All right, let's finish up with my winner and loser. But first, y'all need to go to chubbysshorts.com right now and buy some of their awesome shorts and use code BREAKDOWN for 20% off your order. I've been rocking their original stretch shorts. Rocked them all over Europe, Ted. Looked good, super comfortable, stretchy, perfect length. I go with the 7-inch inseam. Now, I'm kind of a taller guy, so go with the longer ones. But they've got 4-inch and 5.5-inch if you're trying to show some more side there, bud. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, shorts are great, and there's a reason those shorts have put Chubby's on the map. You can pair the original stretch shorts with their lineup of Friday shirts. Pair those two. Now you're cooking with gas, people. From casual button-downs to retro-inspired prints, these shirts are built to kick back, chill out, or party down. Also, guys, you can never have too many swimsuits, and you need to check out Chubby's classic lined swim collection. They've got tons of ultraviolet colors and patterns. They're built with a quick-drying 4-way stretch fabric, elastic waistband, and anti-chafe mesh liner. Even got the zip pocket on the back, Ted. And would you look at this? For a limited time, our friends at Chubby's are giving our listeners 20% off with promo code BREAKDOWN at checkout at chubbysshorts.com. That's 20% off your order with promo code BREAKDOWN. Support our show and tell them we sent you. Just don't blend in with the crowd. Stand out with Chubby's.
And head to opolisclothing.com for our podcast merchandise and the best OU gear out there. That's OPOLIS clothing.com. Use promo code TED, TED for 10% off. That's opolisclothing.com. Use promo code TED for 10% off. Buttery soft and 10% off.
Winner of the weekend, Dan Lanning.
Mm.
I thought about going with Wimbledon. I went to Wimbledon.
Pretty sweet.
It was awesome. I had an incredible trip to London. Saw Kings of Leon at Hyde Park. Saw him play a concert at Silverstone. We stayed at a hotel right off Hyde Park. Then we made our way out to the English countryside. Dude, it was just an incredible trip.
That's
Kids
awesome.
had a blast. It was my son. My oldest could not get enough of riding the tube and the double-decker buses. Oh, Ted, he was in heaven.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was
I
great.
bet that for a kid riding the double-decker bus is like the greatest thing ever.
Oh, yeah. You just wanted to. We asked people to move out of the front seats so that he could, and to their credit, they did. And he could not have been happier. Just the biggest smile on his face. But wife surprised me. We went to Wimbledon, watched Djokovic play center court at Wimbledon. It was incredible.
What's it like in person? Is it like, does TV do it justice or no?
It's unlike anything I've really ever been to. And I've never been to a big tennis tournament like that. I've never been to the US Open. I've never done it. Tennis is an interesting sport, man, as a spectator. I'm glad I don't have any buddies that are like big time tennis players, because I'm pretty sure I'd get kicked out like every time. Because there's this quiet and there's this cheering, but it doesn't get too rowdy. Now it was a first round matchup, so maybe it does get, I would assume it ramps up the deeper you get into the tournament. But it was just an efficient machine, food and drinks, man. It was great. I highly recommend it to anyone that wants to go. We had an absolute blast. You're not supposed to take any kids under 5 into center court. They thought my 3-year-old was 5, so we took him in, gave him headphones. He was loving it, dude. It was awesome.
That's crazy. What a week to be in London, huh? They got a lot going on.
We got it all in. Did the sightseeing. We did everything, man. Hit the Churchill War Museums. We went straight tourists for the first half. They did the London Eye. We did it all, baby.
That's
and
awesome.
It was, I got some sweet Wimbledon merch.
I bet.
Black on black hoodie. Oh, I bought the one piece of merch that doesn't have the Wimbledon colors on it, because of course I did.
Well, that's what I was thinking. As soon as you said that, I was like, I figured everything would be like a bright white.
Just white and purple and green. I was like, give me the black on black.
That's pretty cool.
But incredible trip. One of my favorite vacations ever. It was awesome. Dan Lanning is cleaning up, though.
Yep.
Oregon is they are the West Coast SEC team. Is how it feels.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they got a commitment from Dakorien Moore, the #1 wide receiver in the country. He is a top 5 player overall. Duncanville, Texas. And Lanning and Oregon staff, they go in and beat Texas to get him. Now, long way till signing day. Who knows what happens? But this is, he's arguably the best player in the state of Texas in the class of 2025. And for Oregon to go into the state of Texas and get him, Ted, it's pretty impressive stuff.
Yeah, I guess maybe that's become a little bit more common as national as recruiting has become, but that's still a coup, especially with Texas now in the SEC. You could hang Texas is in the Big 12 and A&M, like, for Oregon to be able to come in there now, especially considering the latest SEC move with Oklahoma, Texas, and pluck a player like that. That's, they've got a lot of firepower out there at Oregon. And, it's going to be interesting to see, last year they had a really good football team. We'll see what happens this year. Like, they should be pretty much right back there at the top, vying for, it's so hard to say, but Big Ten championship.
Yeah. You think about with Dylan Gabriel, quarterback, all the talent they have on both sides of the ball, they're going to be right in the mix. They're going to be right in the conversation with Ohio State and Michigan. It will not surprise me at all if Oregon is ahead of Michigan in the Big Ten media poll, preseason media poll.
It may come down to quarterback play. You
Yeah.
know, you're catching Michigan after they had a first-round draft pick at quarterback. Ohio State is, they're in portal mode, and they went with Will Howard, which I don't know that I would necessarily say that Dylan Gabriel is a better, like he's an efficiency machine. Dylan Gabriel is, with the experience that he has. And would you look at what Bo Nix did last year? I don't know if people recognize the year that he had. He had like 77% completion, I think 45 touchdowns and 3 interceptions, and then added, close to double-digit rushing touchdowns. Like, I don't know if Dylan Gabriel's going to replicate those type of numbers, but I bet he'll be in the ballpark.
Yeah. There's a reason he's one of the preseason Heisman favorites.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks he's going to fit well into that system. And when you look at the Dakorien Moore situation, I think a lot of people are enjoying the freak out of Texas fans that took place afterwards. And that it is interesting because Texas is coming off of college football playoff trip.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to the SEC. It seems like they've got all their NIL stuff in order. And let's not forget, man, they've got Arch Manning. And Moore still chooses to go to Oregon. I understand why Texas fans are surprised. They probably had to feel like, hey, you put all of that together, we're getting any wide receiver we want out of the state of Texas.
Yeah.
It's just a reminder that you never know, man. NIL has changed the game. Oregon's got some momentum. Lanning's a hell of a recruiter. Like it's hard to figure some of this stuff out sometimes.
No, I agree. And, it's interesting with Texas, and I'm sure they're still in on a bunch of the really big names out there. I mean, I know they are, but you look up there at the top of the recruiting rankings right now. Oklahoma's right there, around 5, depending on what service you look at. But like Ohio State, Georgia, most of the teams at the top, they got 20 plus commits. This is like the high point of recruiting season. It feels like it gets harder and harder to get the commitments as you go on. And, obviously the herd is thinning as you go. Texas is, I think they're back, near 20 or so, unless they've had a couple of commitments here over the holiday.
They're at 19. As we're recording this, they're 19th in the 24/7 sports composite. They only have 13 commits.
Yeah. So, I imagine they're going to be hitting on some guys as you come down the stretch here, but it is an interesting spot they find themselves in right now.
Yeah, they have, for lack of a better term, whiffed on several big time prospects over the last couple of weeks, and their fan base, they're not melting down, but I do think they're pretty surprised that when you combine everything that the program has going on right now, all the positivity, that it has not paid as many dividends on the recruiting trail as I think they thought it would.
Yeah.
But college football is what it is right now, man.
Yeah, we'll see how it unfolds. Like, I imagine, like, I feel like you're going to get a boost whenever I imagine Texas's game day atmosphere has probably struggled like Oklahoma's has because of matchups and the fact that they've been pathetic for a decade, so that factors in too. But like the move to the SEC, like in the kickoff times for recruiting, it should give Oklahoma and Texas another burst, like for people to come see what these environments are going to look like.
Oh, there's no doubt. But credit to Dan Lanning and the Oregon Ducks, currently ranked 5th in the 24/7 sports composite recruiting rankings. Only 15 commits, but the only team that has a better average when it comes to ranking for their commitments is Bama. Bama is at 94.11 and Oregon's at 94.10.
And
And that's
it's
with them
interesting,
moving to the Big Ten.
right? The interesting thing about Oregon is they've also done really well in the transfer portal. And, you kept hearing this from some schools that they were going to start taking less high school kids and the transfer portal was going to be a bigger thing for them. I wonder if that's kind of what Oregon's doing and maybe even Texas to a degree with some smaller classes right now. Like you said, they don't only have 15 commits, but the average player ranking is really high. So I wonder if that's kind of their philosophy right now. Quality over quantity.
I think it's reasonable to assume that if you're a program like Oregon or a program like Texas or a program like Oklahoma, if you're any of these schools in the Big Ten or the SEC, that you're going to be a very attractive destination for guys, for big time players that are going to want to transfer in and play in let's be real, just the two best conferences.
Yeah. I think just to add to it quickly, especially after the 12-team playoff, whenever you're going to have, I would guess, the majority representation, it's going to be another factor on top of it.
No doubt. All right, for my loser of the weekend, I'm going with the rest of the NBA because we got Hartenstein, baby. Hartenstein. It's Stein, right?
Stein.
I heart. That's what we're calling him.
I like it.
And he's officially a member of the Oklahoma City Thunder. It's always a good day, Ted, when you sign a 3-year, $87 million contract. Had to feel good for old iHeart. That's got to be a very, very good feeling.
That's crazy. It's just I still have a hard time wrapping my head around some of these contracts how long ago was it where a 3-year, $87 million contract would have been by far the biggest contract in the game? You don't have to go back that far at all.
No, it is pretty crazy. Like that was like a max deal not too long ago.
Oh yeah.
That amount of money.
You're knocking on the door 30 million a year. I mean, that's yeah, for sure.
But I think the money had a lot to do with him picking Oklahoma City, but in his media availability after he signed, he mentioned multiple times the opportunity to expand his game. And it's something that Sam Presti talked about as well. And Ted, I went down an iHeart highlight reel rabbit hole, found a mixtape of his passes, his best passes from the 2023 season. Guy can pass. Guy's got great vision. So I'm interested to see how they use him kind of as a hub, maybe with the second unit, doing some stuff in the free throw line area. Like he has showed the ability to do that. I found a little highlight package of him shooting this little push shot, this little floater from like 6 feet. Beautiful. Love it. This is a guy who I think he picked Oklahoma City because of the money, but I think he also thinks that he's got a little bit more to his game in this 5-out style that the Thunder want to play. I think he thinks that he's going to get the opportunity to show a little more. And I'm excited. It clearly addresses the size and rebounding issue that was, the number one issue for the team this season. Guy's a great rim protector. You pair him with Chet in some of those lineups when they have both those guys on the court. That is elite rim protection. But man, I'm fired up. I'm fired up for what the Thunder did in free agency. I'm fired up just with where this franchise is headed, man. And I think that Hartenstein's he's a fantastic addition.
Who's he remind you of?
Ooh. Do you mean like a guy we've had in Oklahoma City?
No, not necessarily. Just the style of play.
Style of play wise. Ooh, that's a tough one because he's 7 feet tall.
Yeah.
Which makes it, it's hard to compare him to, I'm trying to think of a Thunder guy that he would remind me of, but dude, I really don't have anything. Like, I don't think we've had a guy that really does all the things that he can do. Like, have we had a like Steven Adams was incredible at what he did, but I think let's go. Are we really going to call him iHeart?
I don't know.
Is that going to be an actual thing until we
Probably.
find out if it's Steen or Stein? I think it's Steen, but I I mean clearly you think about the big guys we've had in Thunder history, he's more skilled than Steven Adams, he's more skilled than Kendrick Perkins. We really haven't
Yeah.
had any other notable bigs, have we?
Not that jumps off right away. Huh. Well, that's kind of why I was trying to think, like, trying to picture the impact, but whenever you look at all the different pieces, I mean, it feels safe to say, like, at this point, we're not very far into the offseason, that the Thunder have gotten quite a bit better, right? Which is hard to do considering where they were.
Yeah, you think with the Caruso edition
Mm-hmm.
and then iHeart, you re-sign Wiggins and Isaiah Joe, you draft Topich, which we won't see him till next season, but the Dylan Jones guy is pretty intriguing. And there's a lot of people that are really high on the AJ Mitchell pick, but yeah, I just don't think there's any doubt that they are a better basketball team right now than they were at this point a year ago, and they were the number one seed last season.
I know. Yeah. Exciting.
I,
And I think you're still going to get, not only have you added pieces and re-signed and then the draft, but you're still in a phase where a lot of these guys they're not peaking. They haven't peaked yet. So you're still getting development out of Shea. You're still getting development out of Williams. Still getting development out of Chet. So whenever you consider that as well as adding in what they've added, feels like it's been a great offseason.
I've thought long and hard about the comp for iHeart. If he can develop an outside shot, Brooke Lopez, pass, rim protector, can space the floor. Like, once again, if he shows the ability to space the floor, comfortable with the ball in his hands, maybe doesn't have the low post game that Lopez had, especially early in his career. But I'm just trying to think of giant guys
Yeah.
that kind of have similar movement patterns to him. That's really the best that I could come up with.
No, I like it. A well-rounded big guy, what we needed.
Yeah, and I think that it'll be fascinating to see if will he start some games? Is he going to come off the bench? How much do they play him with Chet? He's going to bring so much value to the team by allowing Chet to not have to guard the other team's big guy all game long. And I think that wore Chet down and it affected his offensive game.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be a large role for him. And I don't know, man. I'm really excited about the moves. Clearly got to stay healthy, but it's hard. It's hard not to. I think the Thunder are going to be the preseason betting favorite in the West.
Wow.
I really do. I
I
don't see why they wouldn't be.
I'm with you. It's jarring whenever you first hear it, but whenever you just kind of take stock of what all happened, look at the season, the way the season ended, and what they've done since, kind of hard to argue with.
Resty is pretty good at what he
He's on
does. The only thing I do want to talk about real quick, iHeart had his media availability. Okay,
Okay.
it feels ridiculous to call him iHeart. Like, I just Hartenstein, right? Or is it Stein?
Hartenstein.
Hartenstein. He said that Westbrook was one of the first guys to text him. And then he said, and this is what he said. He said if he needs anything from the O, to text him. Has anyone ever heard of Oklahoma City or Oklahoma be referred to as the O? And do we need to start doing it? Because when he said it, I kind of loved it. I kind of hated it. But then it started to really grow on me. Could we just refer to Oklahoma as the O?
I don't know.
I'm a little torn on it as well.
I don't know. Even if you're just talking about OKC, the O, I'm going to have to play with it a little bit. I'm not sure yet.
That's where I was at.
I don't know.
Does it feel a little forced?
It feels forced. It almost feels like a text shorthand more than like a new nickname.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
The O. The O. I don't know. Give us a couple weeks.
Now, are we confirmed that Westbrook said that, or did he?
He said that's what Westbrook said.
Okay.
In the text.
Okay. All right.
So we'll think on it. Give us a couple weeks, maybe a couple months. We'll revisit it.
Play with it a little bit. See what happens.
Birthday shout outs. Welcome to the world, Finley Maxwell Hopper.
Happy first birthday to Silas James George.
Happy 14th birthday to Kenley Howard.
Happy 18th birthday to Brady Anderson.
Happy 25th birthday to Caden Levings.
Happy 28th birthday to Jordan J-Dog Crawford.
Happy 50th birthday, Big 5-0, to Wade Couch.
Happy 62nd birthday to Gerald Swain. Gerald
right.
Swain?
Gerald? G-A-R-O-L-D. Gerald. That's got to be Gerald.
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 Swain. Happy birthday.
We need that. You know who needs more Geralds is the U.S. men's national team.
Oh, boy, do they ever.
Happy birthday to Colton Evans, a.k.a. Mr. Grand Lake.
And happy birthday to Christy Bostwick.
We had a late edition. Happy 39th birthday, the big 3-9, to Laura Foshi.
Nice.
On that note, episode 437 in the books. We'll have a new podcast that'll drop on Wednesday. Just a reminder, please subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hope you all have a great start to your week. Until next time, we appreciate y'all for listening. Do what you always do, Oklahoma. Take care of each other.